Most men tell her she's beautiful. Some say she's sexy, but only one man ever told her the truth, the kind that lingered in her chest like a secret she didn't know she wanted uncovered. Because the compliment that makes her obsessed isn't the one she expects. It's the one that sees the version of her she hides from everyone else. And once a woman feels truly seen, there's no going back. In today's world, compliments are thrown around like confetti, light, easy, and forgotten before they ever touch the ground. You look good. Nice dress. Beautiful smile. She hears it daily, from men on the street, from guys she's not even trying to impress, from people who don't even bother to remember her name. But there's one kind of compliment that doesn't just make her smile, it stays with her, it haunts her, it replays in her mind when she's alone, and here's the secret. It has nothing to do with her looks. Because when you compliment a woman in the way she's never been complimented before, when you speak to the depths she's spent her whole life hiding, something shifts. She starts to associate you with that rare feeling of being truly understood, not just noticed, not just desired, seen. In this video, we'll reveal the one compliment that will make her obsess over you through the lens of Stoicism. No manipulation, no flattery, no cheesy lines, just raw presence, emotional intelligence, and a deeper way of connecting that most men will never understand. 1. You think too much, and it's beautiful. This isn't a line, it's a mirror. Most men are scared of a woman's mind, especially when it runs deep. They call it overthinking, dramatic, too intense. But a stoic man, he knows that intensity is not weakness, it's depth, and depth is rare. When you tell a woman you think too much and it's beautiful, you're not teasing her, you're not pointing out a flaw, you're naming the thing she's carried like a burden and showing her that you see it as a gift. You're telling her, I notice the way your mind spins, even in silence. I see how hard you try to make sense of everything, how you carry every word, every feeling, every moment a little longer than most people do. And instead of running from that, I'm leaning in. Why does this compliment hit so hard? Because she's been judged for it, silently, loudly, repeatedly. She's been told to relax, to let things go, to stop caring so much. But she can't. It's not just a habit, it's who she is. And no one ever told her that it's okay. Until now. When you say these words, you're not just giving her approval. You're giving her permission to exist fully, to be as she is, without apology. And that feeling, being seen and not fixed, is what creates obsession. Here's the stoic part. You're not offering her a solution. You're not trying to rescue her from her mind. That's not your role. You're simply observing reality without judgment. That's Stoicism. It's about seeing what is and respecting it. When you compliment her overthinking in this way, you're doing something rare. You're telling her that her chaos doesn't scare you, that her mind, messy and layered, doesn't push you away. You're not here for the polished version of her. You're here for the truth, the full, unfiltered, unsimplified truth. And this is where real attraction is born. Not from surface beauty, not from flirty banter, but from soul recognition. Most guys aim to impress. They lead with bravado, charm, performance. But a stoic man, he leads with presence. He listens more than he talks. He studies, he sees, and when he speaks, it matters. So the next time you're with her, when you notice that pause before she speaks, when she edits herself mid-sentence, unsure of how much she should share, when you see her scanning the room while carrying 3 thoughts at once, don't ignore it. Say softly, you think too much, and I think it's beautiful. Then stop. Let the words hang in the air. Watch her eyes. You'll see something change, because in that moment you just did what no compliment ever has. You didn't flatter her reflection. You saw her shadow, and you made her feel safe in it. That's what makes her obsess. Not your looks, not your status, not your charm, your clarity, and the courage to speak to the part of her no one else even sees. 2. You've been carrying everyone's weight, haven't you? Say that to her, just once, and watch what happens. Most men see a strong woman and assume she doesn't need anything. They think her calm means she's unbothered, that her kindness means she's never hurt, and that her independence means she doesn't want support. But they're wrong. She's tired. Not just physically, but soul deep. She's been carrying the weight of everyone around her, quietly, without asking for anything in return. She's the one who holds it all together, who smiles when she wants to cry, who picks up the emotional slack in her family, her friendships, maybe even her past relationships. And she's used to no one noticing. Until you. You look at her, not with admiration for her strength, but with understanding for her fatigue. And you say it gently, like you've known her pain without her ever having to name it. You've been carrying everyone's weight, haven't you? She won't know what to say. Maybe she'll nod. Maybe she'll go quiet. But inside, something will shift. Because that's the compliment she never expected, but always needed. Stoicism teaches us not to rush to fix or rescue others. It teaches us to see clearly, to respond with quiet strength, and to respect someone else's struggle without inserting our ego into it. That's what this compliment does. You're not telling her you'll save her. You're telling her you finally see what no one else took the time to look at. Most people comment on what she gives. You're acknowledging the toll it's taken. This is the kind of compliment that doesn't flatter. It humbles. It tells her that her effort hasn't gone unnoticed, that someone sees the emotional miles she walks in silence. And once a woman feels that kind of recognition from a man, true, honest, emotionally intelligent recognition, she doesn't forget it. Because for the first time, she feels like she doesn't have to perform strength. She doesn't have to keep holding everything together just to be loved. You're giving her permission to be a human being, not a role. That's rare. And here's the thing, this compliment can't be forced. You have to mean it. You have to see it. You have to study her, not her body, not her photos, but the way she moves when she's quiet. The sigh she lets out when she thinks no one's watching. The way she always asks how others are doing, but never says much about herself. That's where the truth lives. And that's what Stoic men observe. You don't rush to comfort her. You don't say, "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." No, that's not your job. Your job is to recognize what she's held on her own and simply stand next to her in that truth, with presence, not promises. You compliment her emotional endurance, not because you want anything from her, but because you see the beauty in it, the quiet heroism she doesn't talk about. And that makes you unforgettable, because in a world where most men chase surface, you sat in silence and saw her soul, and that changes everything. 3. You don't trust easily, and I respect that. Say this to a woman, and you'll watch her pause, not out of discomfort, but out of recognition. Because most people don't see her caution as sacred. They see it as a challenge, a flaw, something to overcome. But you saw her walls not as obstacles, but as architecture. This compliment doesn't ask her to open up. It respects the fortress she built. Because it takes years of pain, betrayal, and disappointment to reach the point where she stops letting just anyone in. You're not asking for access. You're simply acknowledging what it took to protect herself. And that makes all the difference. She's had people try to tear down her defenses with charm, with pressure, with promises they never planned to keep. But few men ever stood still, looked her in the eye, and said, "I get it. You've been through things." You don't give your trust freely, and that's exactly why I value it. That's Stoicism. You're not entitled to her vulnerability. You're honored by it, if and when it comes. You don't push, you don't demand. You simply respect the boundary. Because respect is the highest form of interest a man can show. And when she feels that from you, calm, quiet, non-demanding respect, it changes how she sees you. You're not like the others who mistake her silence for rejection. You're the one who understands that silence is sometimes the only safe space she has. You don't tell her to relax. You don't say, "I'm not like them." Instead, you let your patience prove your intentions. You make her feel safe without saying a word. And when you finally do say it, you make it count. You don't trust easily. And I respect that. That's not a line, that's an understanding. And women crave that more than any charm you could throw at them. 4. You think too much, and it's beautiful even when it hurts you. This one lands deep. You see, overthinking is one of the most misunderstood traits in women. People tell her she's too emotional, too analytical, too sensitive. She second-guesses texts, conversations, glances, trying to decode what others mean, while no one ever asks what she's feeling. And when you say this, when you tell her that her overthinking is beautiful, it's like you've reached inside the very part of her she's spent years trying to hide. She doesn't overthink because she wants to. She overthinks because she cares too deeply. She processes everything, your tone, your timing, your pauses. It's exhausting, but it's also her superpower. You notice that. And instead of telling her to stop, you make her feel safe in it. You admire her depth. Her mind isn't a mess. It's a galaxy. And when you say this, you're not just validating her thoughts. You're honoring her essence. I know your mind never sleeps, and that's what makes you so rare. That right there, it stays with her. Most people try to fix her thoughts. You see the art in them. That's Stoicism. You don't react to the chaos. You recognize the brilliance inside it. And for a woman who's spent her whole life being told to calm down, stop thinking, be less, your presence becomes something sacred. You don't just tolerate her complexity, you admire it, and that makes you unforgettable. 5. You've been silencing your own voice just to keep the peace, haven't you? This isn't a question, it's a mirror. She hears it, and suddenly years of swallowing pain, biting her tongue, and playing small come rushing back. Because you just named something she's never said out loud. This compliment doesn't praise her beauty, it honors her bravery. She's spent relationships, friendships, even family dinners, choosing harmony over honesty. Not because she's weak, but because she's tired. Because she learned early on that speaking her truth often came with consequences. Distance, arguments, rejection. But when you see that, and you say it with gentleness, without expectation, it unravels something inside her. It's like you reached into a wound she forgot she even had, and instead of pressing it, you held it like something sacred. You've been silencing yourself just to keep the peace, haven't you? And she will pause, because that's not a compliment she's ever received. That's not something men usually notice. Most guys are too busy trying to impress her. But you were paying attention to the way her smile drops half a second too early, to how she hesitates before giving an opinion, to how she shrinks just a little in moments where she should be standing tall. You noticed, and now she knows you see her, not just the version she shows the world, but the one behind it. That's power, and you didn't have to raise your voice to use it. 6. You're not trying to be attractive, and that's what makes you unforgettable. Say this when she least expects it, when she's not dressed up, when her hair's tied back, when she's sitting cross-legged on the floor in an old hoodie, talking about something that lights her up. That's the moment, the real one, the version of her that doesn't perform, the one that's unfiltered, raw, unguarded. She thinks this version of herself is basic, but you see it as her most magnetic state. Most men compliment effort, you admire essence. You're not trying, and that's why I can't stop thinking about you. Let that sink in. She's been trained to be attractive, to pose, to angle, to highlight the right features. But all that effort hides the version of her that's real. The one that forgets herself mid-sentence because she's passionate. The one who laughs uncontrollably, the one who doesn't know she's being watched. That's the version she's never been praised for. That's the one you just complimented. And it stops her in her tracks, because now she feels safe to be her. Not the curated version, not the edited self, but the raw, beautiful human underneath all the masks. That's when obsession begins, because she won't remember what you wore. But she will remember how she felt when you looked at her and made her feel unforgettable, even in her most ordinary moment. That is what stoic presence creates. So here's what most men will never understand. Compliments that speak to her appearance fade. Compliments that speak to her identity linger. But the rarest kind, the kind that reach beneath her armor and touch her soul, they echo. They replay at midnight when the room is silent and her thoughts get loud. They surface when she's staring at her reflection, wondering if anyone truly knows her. And that's when she remembers you. Not because you flattered her, but because you saw her. You didn't comment on her dress. You spoke to her endurance. You didn't admire her smile. You honored her sadness. You didn't flirt with her confidence. You respected her silence. And that's what women remember. That's what they crave. Not another shallow compliment tossed out like spare change, but something real, something haunting, something only a man grounded in presence and depth could offer. That's the Stoic way, not to perform, not to impress, but to observe, to see, and when the moment comes, to speak with intention. So the next time you're with her, don't chase her approval, don't search for the right line to sound clever. Simply notice the truth she's trying to hide, and gently reveal it. Because in a world full of noise, the man who speaks to her quietest parts becomes unforgettable. She doesn't want the guy who calls her sexy. She'll obsess over the man who says, "I see the storm behind your calm, and it's beautiful." That man stays, not in her bed, in her bones.